Hello and welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the 2025 Ale Open. This is final round back 9 MPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. Only 9 holes separate us from our next champion on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers? Glad you made it on this back 9, as we have a tight situation on the card. Interesting stuff happening specifically on hole number 9, where the strong leader of the tournament, Ricky Wysocki, was leading by 4, ends up rolling away twice and getting a double bogey on hole number 9.
A twist of fate here as that lead falls to just 1 stroke. Niklas 20 under, Daniel behind them at 18, and a stacked field competing for these top 3 positions still. Every single hole on this back 9 is going to be critical for final position, cash line, the prestige of being at the top 10, top 5 of a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series event.
We're starting off the back 9 on a difficult hole number 10. 128 meters. We're going slightly uphill with OB right and mostly OB left near the rock wall. If you hit the rock wall with your shot, you're usually in bounds as long as you get within 30 meters of the basket. The most common shot here, there's actually a couple of options. You can do more of a turnover shot, hopefully turn away from that left side OB, or you can try your luck through the right side trees and go for a straight to hyzering shot. Interesting to see what these players end up going for.
Niklas playing the hyzer flip to the right side. Very common result to be a little bit too low as this fairway slopes uphill the entire way. And he is just outside circle 2, I believe. Difficult for striking distance given that low ceiling. We go to Joona, playing the left high turnover, more of a distance sort of line, and this is coming in super hot into the wall, as often happening. He kicks back in bounds, and he's just outside the circle with a very reasonable putt for birdie.
Daniel also going for the right side, very turned and great bounce off the right side. There's a bit of a hillside there, so hitting the hillside with a slight anhyzer angle, you would expect it to bounce back. Still, he's not going to be happy with the shot, and Ricky here, beautiful angle, good slide at the end. He's going to be just outside the circle.
Daniel playing the overstable forehand shot. Great touch there, never in any danger. We'll be left with the tap in 3. We go to Niklas, who is at range. A long way out with a gap to hit.
You can hear the reaction right out of the hand. Not happy with the run. And Ricky here, he has a chance to put it back to 2 strokes on the lead. And look at this. Beautiful putt. He's unfazed with the double bogey on hole number 9. A lot of players in the field, almost every player in the field, would get some nerves from missing a couple circle 2 putts on hole number 9. Ricky not being one of those players.
Bounce back of a seasoned athlete and disc golf veteran there. We see Joona from just inside the circle. Not a tentative bid, but flying by on the right. He's left with the comebacker now for par. Hearts it. Looking to stay in the mix here. Didn't have quite the hot start that the others did in the front 9. Has fallen behind a touch, although still well into the top 10.
Solid putt for par from Niklas. And I have to give a little shout out to actually our card today, our 11th card. We got the star fame on this hole, which was, I believe, pretty crazy. Must be one of the only ones in the tournament. So 11th card doing work. Lead card doing some work on this hole as well. Just 1 birdie on the card for the lone leader of the tournament.
Another great birdie opportunity here on hole 11. This 84-meter par 3 has this initial gap to hit here as the drone flies. The fairway then bends softly over to the right. You can throw, for a lot of right-handed players, the forehand hyzer, pushing that back tree line to the left and trying to get to circle's edge, maybe with a good skip right up to the pin. Otherwise, it's a soft backhand turnover with some late stability. We get to see a great perspective on preference here from the players. You can throw anything from slightly understable to very overstable on the forehand. Rick known to be a fairly overstable disc player, and he's done well there to hit the gap, move right.
Yeah, with the forehand you can't really guarantee a park job, even if you hit the gap perfect there. Niklas not hitting the gap perfect, but getting a very favorable kick. 9 meters there, low ceiling, might be a kneeling putt. Yeah, as I was saying, you have to accept the fact that with the forehand you might hit a late tree and leave yourself with that circle 2 look.
And I like seeing Joona throwing the forehand there, even if it's not the exact result he wants. Known as a predominantly backhand player, but not afraid to use the forehand when it suits the hole. Daniel, absolutely known as a forehand player. Even with one of the best backhands in the game, his forehand known for his angle, control, and touch.
I very much agree. I'd pick this hole for Daniel over almost anybody else in the field. As Joona there outside the circle, tricky putt. It's definitely a hole you want to pick up with 42% of the field getting a birdie on this one. Let's see if Ricky is going to be one of those, of course. Very comfortable putter. You called him potentially one of the best putters in the tournament. I might put him at number 1. He's just so amazing on the green, able to adjust to almost any situation.
Niklas as well with a very solid birdie get, 6 under, maintaining pace with Rick, ensuring that he's no more than 2 strokes behind with the remaining 8 holes. Daniel was a little bit shaky on the green in the front 9 with some shorter misses, but overall is still very much in the mix, tied for 3rd with that birdie putt. Only Joona missing the 2 here on hole 11.
Hole 12, offering a different set of challenges. The drive here gives you 2 options. You can take the left bending fairway or the right bending fairway. The drone is flying for the right bending fairway. Both of them have the same goal: get in the middle of the crossing where the fairway unites to one straight to left finishing shape that is designed perfectly for a straight to overstable backhand shot. Usually the drive on this hole is the shorter one. You're throwing about 90, maybe 95 meters off the tee, leaving yourself about 110 to the green. Very tricky hole for putting specifically. Even though the drive and approach are pretty simple, there are a lot of difficult putts to be seen.
Well, it may suit Tricky Ricky then. That one, however, a little bit straight on the backhand line, does push into the tree line and pinch his angle significantly. We saw a crazy shot from him in round 2 from a similar position, although this one slightly worse will make his birdie play much harder. Niklas with that picture-perfect execution to center fairway.
Yeah, Niklas potentially smelling a chance to get 1 stroke back on Ricky. As Daniel there, very consistent. I believe he's going with an extremely overstable mid-range. Not going for an overstable fairway driver like a lot of players do on this hole. And looks like the line for our card is going to be the backhand hyzer. Everybody besides Ricky in perfect position. Interesting dynamic as the leader is the only one out of the fairway.
However, Daniel up first. There's 2 hyzer options into the green. He opts for the wider one. With his power, he can go quite high, push that long right to left shape, and he skips just left on that mounded green. I'm going to guess about circle's edge putt for the birdie. It's well done. It's very difficult to stick this mound really cleanly, and with the drop off behind it, a lot of players will opt to come up just short to mitigate the risks of rolling away. Exactly as we see from Niklas there.
Perfect Niklas shape there. Just that straight shot with an overstable disc has to hit a gap. And Joona, also a big hyzer guy. He loves that hyzer release, especially throwing a little bit harder And you can see he landed just short of the basket, but the slightly fast green on this hole giving him a big skip. And that's not a shot at the basket for Ricky, just trying to put it back in play. Aiming to lose one stroke to the rest of the card, assuming that they make their birdie putts.
I touched on the danger of this green earlier. This upshot is going to be critical to land before the basket. Skip on up to it. You can catch an edge very quickly, and that was on the brink of the wrong side of the green, Elias. That backside, super fast for rollaways. As it looks, Daniels did a little bit here. He's gone down to the tree line long left, going to be coming back.
An okay result for hitting the cage. We did see him take a 7 on this hole yesterday, just from putting. And Joona, unfortunately, setting up for something similar, although this is still very makeable. I would almost expect him to make this one, as it's still well in the circle. And there you go, very good composure. Important to keep your cool and not lose any more strokes on this hole.
Joona with some great color coordination between his pink towel, pink shoes, and pink back stamp. Pretty smooth. Talking about smooth, Niklas there. Great birdie putt at a critical moment to get a stroke on Rick. Closing that gap now to only 1.
Of course, Ricky being as experienced as he is, I bet he's not uncomfortable with the situation. He's still in the driver's seat, 1 stroke lead over second place. He would take that every time if he was given the opportunity before the tournament.
We continue here on this beautiful hole 5, 310 meters. Hole 13 has this straight shot off the tee. You can end right if you have enough distance and can get around this corner into the second leg of the wooded fairway, but anything just straight opening up this angle on the second is sufficient to be playing for birdie. There is also the elusive eagle play potentially with 2 amazing drives. As you then wind first softly to the right and uphill, you navigate winding your way through these trees, ending back towards the left where you find the basket tucked away behind these late guardians. This fairway really favors a flat landing shot, and as a result you'll see a lot of players disc down a touch and throw something very controllable. The first drive, however, you want about 120 meters to get to the sweet spot.
Niklas with the roller disc in hand. This is the aggressive play for potential eagle. Weird bounce out of the ground, but keeps going, and he is actually in a very good birdie position. That is not an eagle position. He has still about 170 meters, 180 meters almost to go. But from there it's going to be a simple shot to the fairway, and hopefully for him a simple shot to the basket after the second.
Rick getting caught on the inside. The right side is much less forgiving than the left in terms of fade and movement here. But if you're far enough, you can try to shortcut the corner. We saw in last year's LA Open, Daniel fight for that eagle 3. And he curls into the mouth of the tunnel. Nothing too crazy though. That right side will be just a touch pinched for that S-bend. We see Joona.
Joona, a very comfortable mid-range thrower. I believe that's what he's going with here. Great glide on the disc, even a little fortunate kiss off the right side, and that's gonna be just fine for a birdie position. And really, Ricky being the one that is out of position here. Interesting as the stroke difference between him and Niklas is only one here. Actually has a good gap. If he hits this gap perfect, he can still play for birdie for sure. And I think he has done it.
Yes, and quite fortunate, given that early right side, to have that gap available to him. It's not always there. Joona going high left with a turned over backhand, looking to shape that S beautifully. And matches the fairway almost completely to a T. Great progress down the fairway on his second. We've mentioned it, but Niklas, known for his angle control, looking to do the same, has overturned this shot and will find himself in a slightly uncomfortable position for his third.
Daniel here, I believe, going with the same disc for a second time. Very creative play. Trying to flip it over to the right. And while he is on the left side of the fairway, that is pretty close to the basket. I believe about 50 meters to go. So he doesn't have a long approach. Probably either has something through the woods or gonna have to go for a forehand anhyzer through the fairway.
Rick getting this hyzer flip up the fairway, but fades out significantly early and will be obstructed far from the pin. The gaps are big enough to get a putt out, but will not be a high percentage one. And Niklas catching the last tree to beat to be absolutely parked. Still a very good shot that gets him in position for the birdie at about circle's edge. Just one behind Rick right now. He has a chance.
And look at the forehand touch there from Joona. Not known for having a big forehand, but his forehand is actually very accurate at short distances. And there you go, talking about accurate forehands at short distances. Daniel, one of the touchier forehand approach players we know.
And Ricky able to give it a bid from there. Although a tough one at that. Niklas now on 13 with a chance to equalize. Rick has been the front runner since round 1 in this tournament. And just like that, Anttila is able to tie it up.
Absolutely hard it on the putt there. Not only can he be happy about tying it up for the lead, but he also will get some good momentum on the putting green from this one. And there you go, just 5 holes left. 5 tricky holes left. All of them are chances for either players to take back the solo lead. Can't know what's happening on one of the last 5 holes. Let's see as our players move towards one of the trickier holes on the course. Tell me about this hole number 14.
This can be a very dangerous hole. You have this initial gap off the tee. It may look big as the drone flies through, but that archway comes up very soon and can offer some nasty kicks. Priority number 1, hit that gap. As you then get into this more open half of the fairway, the trees begin to thin and you have this left to right slope, an elevated basket on the stump, and OB lining behind. You need both a good drive and a good putt to make this birdie. A very common result is to be around circle 2, circle 2's edge, and simply lay up given the danger of the green. So a good drive is premium here if you want to even have a chance for the 2.
Niklas a little bit left here, but it usually goes through on the left side. And there you go, just as you said, circle 2. It's gonna be a big decision for Niklas. Really, I feel like depending on Ricky's shot. If Ricky is gonna be parked on this hole, I don't see Niklas laying that one up. But if Ricky also has a difficult one, I could see this going in many different ways. As Daniel there going for the forehand, I believe that is his preference, just to hit the gap, even though the backhand is the more ideal shot for the line on this hole.
And a very similar looking result to Niklas. Also looking downwards towards the hill from a slightly uncomfortable distance with the drop off behind. Rick looking to shape a backhand flex. And a little ping pong settles down in the open. Fairly risk-free, although birdie effectively out of play. Curious to see if Niklas or Joona try to go for it, knowing that Rick is taking a par at best.
And a very likely one at that. Can't see Ricky missing from 4 meters in the final round, coming down the stretch. Daniel there under the basket, just like you want. The layup on this hole, you actually need to be a little bit careful. You don't really want to hit the roots of the stump under the basket because that's a lot of potential for roll away. Even you can see Joona's disc bouncing out softly. And this is huge for Niklas. Not getting it in, pulling it to the right side trees, and actually has a bit of a comebacker left for par.
Wow. He took the risk. It didn't pay off for the birdie, but he is still able to secure the par, although more stressful than he may like it to be. Elias, what do you think of the mental toll that it takes in a competitive final round when you have a slightly longer putt or a miss like that, which is quite unexpected?
I think that can really kill your momentum, especially if the comebacker is not quite the perfect putt. Luckily for Niklas, though, he did hit it in the center, not losing any more strokes there. Well done there. Moving on to hole number 15. 180 meter par 4 that plays closer to 230 with an uphill grade at the end of the fairway. Want to throw ideally a flex backhand shot off the tee, get somewhere on the wide area of the fairway, short of the rock. And the second shot is lining up great for a flat to slightly fading backhand shot, which you actually can throw a bit harder than you think. We see consistently even the lead card players landing a little bit short on this hole. It's hard to go too far past the basket, and usually the perfect shot on this hole on the approach looks like it's going too far, but with the strong uphill grade, the discs tend to stall out at the end.
These skilled cameramen managing exposure perfectly, both in the woods and out in the natural sunlight.
Yes, thank you to all of the camera crew making this coverage possible, both on post-production here on MDG Media and the live on Disc Golf Network. As Niklas has executed a beautiful shot, a little bit left of the fairway though. And I believe the angle is going to be great from there, but his run-up might be a little bit obstructed.
Daniel opting for the forehand. Keeps it high to the left side, fades back into the center. Doesn't quite have the distance that Niklas's does on that hyzer compared to the flex line, but very well positioned and with his backhand power. Ideal for the second. Joona with a nasty kick left early. That will be a difficult par scramble now. Ricky has made this fairway look huge in the past, shaping the overstable flex. Gets burnt out a little bit by that branch, but exactly what he's trying to do there.
Very nice shape from Ricky and good position. He's short, but I believe that can even be an advantage because now he has a chance to put the pressure on Niklas. So if Ricky throws a great shot from his position, Niklas is going to feel the pressure. They are tied right now, but a great approach on this hole could take the lead. So let's see. Ricky probably has 100 to 110 meters left to go. Needs to throw it very hard to get up there.
And Ricky Wysocki, power on display, accuracy on display.
Daniel slightly on the right side, going for a flex shot. And look at the kick! He didn't turn it over enough out of the hand, but getting rewarded. 10 meters left. I bet Joona loves the left side for this hyzer angle. His natural release on the backhand.
But cuts it a bit early, unable to pierce through cleanly. We go now to Niklas. And he does sneak through the similar trees, or rather the exact trees that blocked Joona, allow Niklas through.
Very fortunate break there. That was easily a one-stroke swing. Had he hit any of those trees, he would have been almost outside of putting distance, and now putting for birdie.
Daniel has been putting for birdie on so many holes here on this final round, just with a lower percentage of capitalization compared to Niklas and Rick, the only two players ahead of him currently in the field.
As the gap between these two and the rest of the field is getting bigger. As the holes are running out, only 3 holes left. It's looking unlikely that anybody else can catch them. Daniel being the closest contender, 4 strokes back. 3 holes to go with 4 strokes to make up is a very tall task.
OTB is very specific on how they list the disc because they want you to like the disc.
Virtually in your hand tells you what the disc is going to feel like, how heavy it's going to be. It's everything you want to know before it shows up to your house.
Not just marketing.
It's only the best.
Our players will proceed to hole 16, a 120-meter downhill par 3 requiring a very specific left to right shape. As you get around this initial bend, you see that the fairway narrows to this late gap between the trees on the left and right, with the basket tucked in the open field. Interestingly, Ricky has changed his game plan on this hole between rounds 1 and 2, and in the practice round mentioned that he hasn't quite figured it out. We'll see what he opts for here today. Tied with Niklas, this average score 2.95, unsurprising. It's difficult to park, common to be around circle 2, and a simple layup is most likely given the common landing zones of a slightly imperfect shot. All the things need to be correct here for a disc to be parked.
Talking about correct, Niklas with very much the correct shot. Look at this, within putting distance of the basket. And Ricky gonna go for a similar shot. There is actually also a big forehand hyzer line over the trees on this hole, which I'm a little bit surprised that Ricky is not taking, but rather going for this backhand turnover shot. A little bit early on the fade, gets through though. Niklas is definitely closer, but Ricky with a great chance to put a lot of pressure on his contender.
And that is a huge difference to get through those trees rather than to be caught behind or underneath them for Ricky. Daniel too looking to shape that flex, but doesn't find the true line. Joona has a net even result so far on the back 9 with only 1 birdie and 1 bogey. A chance for him here. Has great backhand control. Again throwing a gliding mid-range, I believe, high. Looking to shape the long anhyzer.
Not quite the angle there that he was looking for. Gonna have to settle for a par, assuming a good approach here. That's exactly what he has done. Hole 16, definitely a great place for the gallery to gather up, as you have the VIP spectators following the crowd, following the card, and the rest behind this putt of Ricky Wysocki, going for it from circle 2, and that's gonna be low. He's not gonna be the outright leader on 17. And instead, Niklas has a chance to control his own destiny, put this in for a 1-stroke lead with 2 holes to go.
Laser focused, gum is being chewed, putter is in the chains. Score for the round 10 under. Rick mentioned that would be the pace required at each round as an average to win this weekend. That was his prediction. Although we're not quite hitting the 30 mark. And another putt for Daniel. The green plaguing his score statistically. Even in this tournament so far to this point, one of the strongest tee to green strokes gained. but with so many missed opportunities here. Elias, perhaps you could give us some insight into some potential statistics while I describe hole 17. This par 3 is a 110-meter tunnel shot, first going straight and then ending softly to the left. The right side offers a very thick rough, whereas the left side has quite favorable gaps between the trees, so that is the most common side to err on. The hyzer flip or soft flex, likely with a hard thrown fairway, plays very well here. What do we see in terms of specialties in competitiveness with the field from our lead card players?
Our card has the cream of the crop, as Daniel is the best driver in the MPO division by far, and Ricky being the best putter in the MPO division. But talking about best driver, Niklas, Anttila, I bet none of these players can top that drive on this hole, on the edge of the bullseye, still controlling his own destiny. As Ricky here is gonna be early on the left, this is not looking great.
And just like that, Niklas, almost a certainty to get the birdie here on 17. Currently 1 stroke up, likely going to be going to 2 strokes up unless Rick can make some magic happen. For the first time in the tournament, Rick is not the solo leader. Daniel with a nice pushing hyzer goes even a little bit long. It's difficult to do. It's quite infrequent that you see that. But he has so much power, he simply needs to control it. Joona up first, once again forced to the touch forehand.
Gonna have some work left to do for the par there. He's absolutely jogging for position right now. Not in position to place first or second, but the spots on the leaderboard are tight. A lot of players trying to get up there in the top 3, even top 5, even top 10. As Ricky just quickly pitches out of the forest, he's gonna be at least 2 strokes back going into 18.
You touched on it, Elias. Interesting to see the speed that Rick threw with Daniel. Again shy on the green after a drive that gives him an opportunity. Joona here for the par. Interesting to see how quickly Rick threw that shot. Little to no calculation on a kind of complex line through those left side woods. Of course, he executed it as well, but the putt, you can see in his body language now, he recognizes the situation going into the final hole. He has let his significant lead slip through his fingers a little bit in this final round, and naturally, as a competitor, particularly at the top level, that can be a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
I think Ricky is considering hole 18 to be a hole where it's difficult to make a 2-stroke swing. While it's possible, it's difficult, and he needs Niklas to make a mistake. So Ricky definitely a player who wants to be in control of his own placing in the tournament, and that's not going to be possible anymore, as hole 18, a long par 4, but we're playing far downhill off the drive. So that 245 meters of distance, you can probably cut off about 160 on the drive. Just don't go too far and don't challenge the hazard on this hole. If you want to miss on the drive, rather miss left to open up the angle to the green. And then we're going to this island. Everything between the inbounds area and the island, inside of the island, is going to be considered hazard. So you throw where your disc lies with a 1-stroke penalty. And so Niklas here, he needs to put it inbounds to a position where he's comfortable approaching the island. That is honestly quite big. The island has a lot of space where he can throw a safe shot on the second, assuming a good drive.
And a good drive is what this looks like. Gets a soft flex shape ending out to the left. Exactly what you would like to see out of a drive on 18. Rick with a touch more power, able to put a little bit less flex on it and still achieve a similar landing zone. Beautiful forwards pushing left skip.
And interestingly enough, I think Ricky is further out, so he will have to go first. So he has a decision in his hand whether he wants to run the basket for an eagle which would force Niklas to put it very close for birdie. Or Ricky can try to get as close as possible and just pressure Niklas into making the island.
Daniel potentially able to unleash some of his frustrations from the putting green here on this booming drive. Has absolutely crushed it. We'll be left with one of the shorter throws into the island green. And as we go now to these upshots, absolutely critical. Joona, however, up first, simply looking to end strong, has unfortunately fallen out of contention for the podium. But you see the gallery lining this OTB center here at Ale. It's a great way to end with a good energy to your round.
You can go, I don't mind.
Niklas saying he doesn't mind if Ricky goes first. I think he probably even prefers it this way. Ricky definitely trying to throw this in. Blows past the basket. And that was his effort to catch an eagle, a magical eagle on the final hole. As Niklas trying to go for a high, safe forehand just to make inbounds. But the disc is so low out of the hand, hitting the edge of the island, and he's gonna be hazard with a putt from about 12 meters to save par.
That is such a significant moment here. Ricky needing the two-stroke swing, his birdie to Niklas's bogey. Niklas will now be having a putt for par from the hazard just against the log's edge. Daniel spiking the hyzer in. There is now hope for Rick with that errant upshot from Niklas on 18. Coming down to the very last moment, this battle between America and Europe. Ricky and Niklas. Brought to this last moment. Niklas has two options here. He could run it and try to lock in the win on the spot. He could lay it up and force Rick to make the putt, but they have to see who goes first here, as knowledge is power in this situation.
Absolutely. I think Niklas will prefer Ricky to go first, for sure. Because if Ricky goes first and misses, Niklas has a chance to just lay up for the bogey, excuse me. But if Ricky makes his putt, Niklas can run his own and take away the victory straight ahead, or even lay up for a playoff. So this is an absolute must-make for Ricky.
At a range, we know he's capable, we know he's comfortable, but in the moment, he needs it. He connects with the band. We take another look as he grasps for a chance at victory.
That's a matter of 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters lower, and he has absolutely drained that putt in the middle. And now Niklas, his best case scenario, Ricky missing the putt, him being able to just lay up for the win. And Niklas Anttila, he's gonna win his 3rd Elite Series event of the season, solidifying himself as one of the top players in the world.
At this point, there can be no doubt, and an incredible way for Daniel to end the round, given his difficulties on the putting green, able to close out with that birdie on 18 to find himself tied 3rd, a share at the podium with that fantastic putt. Last year's champion, Daniel, as we see Ricky approaching now, his tap in just like that for par. Your 2025 Ale Open MPO champion, none other than Niklas Anttila, representing Europe on an amazing stage here in Sweden. Amazing poise, composure, performance, and a last round comeback that will stand the test of time.
The winner of All Open 2025, presented by this group, Niklas Anttila.
Niklas Anttila, you are the Ale Open 2025 champ. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, first time in OLE feels absolutely amazing to win this tournament. You truly feel like a professional playing this amazing course. It's my first time, as I said, but It's absolutely beautiful. There's not one bad hole. Yeah, just lucky to be playing this course, and the win is just a bonus, I feel like.
So you came in 3 strokes behind one of the all-time greats, Ricky Wysocki. A little bit of a slow start, but you were able to catch him and take down the win. How does it feel?
Yeah, I think it's my 3rd comeback win of the season, so it feels amazing how I'm able to close out these tournaments. It has been my weakness, I feel like, in the big tournaments against the big guys like Ricky or Gannon or Paul to close out the tournament on the final day. So it feels amazing, and I'm super proud of myself.
Yeah, you shot a phenomenal 10:58 rated final round. We saw some pretty tough conditions throughout the week, but today was really lovely and you got to finish it in sunshine. Anything you want to say in the closing here?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was sunny at times, and then it was raining all of a sudden, and I feel like it was more windy the further you went in the round, and it was like no wind on hole 1 until 10 hole 18. It was like super windy again. So it was just crazy how it played out this week. I'm just so proud and so happy to be here, as I said. I don't know what to say, but thank you everybody putting up this tournament, and Ole is amazing. Come here if you have a chance.
Perfect way to end it. Thanks so much and congratulations.
Incredible speech from our winner there. He's gonna be a force to reckon with coming to the late season in Europe. And shout out to the multiple players finishing tied 3rd, Peter Lunde, Nestori Tuhkanen, Daniel Davidsson. An incredible tournament, and you can see the field is so packed nowadays in Europe. So much skill, so much talent. We're gonna have an exciting rest of the season. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Connor, for being here with us.
It's an incredible stretch, and we would like to thank you, the viewer, especially for joining us on this momentous and historic occasion as the European stretch continues. Make sure to join us, and we will see you there. Thank you for watching.